Over the weekend with tops of 26 and 27 and staying fine for Monday and Tuesday with temps in the high 20s. Currently 21. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Thanks to the all-new Jeep Renegade. Energetic, fun and rebellious. Test drive today at your local Jeep dealer. This is 5AA Breakfast.
Right on 23 minutes to 7, just repeating an Adelaide Live report we had just before the news. North Terrace at Kent Town is closed between Fullerton Road and Osborne Street due to an incident, so it might be worth factoring that into your calculations. We understand it may well be closed for the AM rush hour as well. Just a reminder though, if you do see anything in your travels in the morning, let us know, and we'll be on top of it right through until 9 o'clock this morning, making sure you're aware of all incidents around Adelaide. 8223 0055 is the number if you've got an Adelaide Live report for us.
Well, yesterday the Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, gave his first keynote address to the nation's Parliament about national security, in which he said that the prospect of a terror attack in Australia is likely. He also outlined the government's new strategy for the classification of terror warnings at the domestic level. He derided some of the overblown statements of ISIS as to the extent of its power base and expressed his confidence that we would eventually prevail against this threat, as we had in the past against other forms of violent fanaticism. Here's some of what the Prime Minister had to say about how...
Mr. Speaker, we should grieve and we should be angry, but we must not let grief or anger cloud our judgment. Our response must be as clear-eyed and strategic as it is determined. This is not a time for gestures or machismo. Calm, clinical, professional, effective. That's how we defeat this menace.
Well, one of our closest allies in New Zealand is going through a similar process, and while the domestic challenge in New Zealand is on a much smaller scale, it nevertheless still exists. Selwyn Manning is the editor of the Evening Report, livenews.co.nz. We talk to him every Wednesday and he joins us now. Selwyn, good morning. John Key has made a similar statement to Malcolm Turnbull.
Yes, that's right, Dave. And it does look like the New Zealand National Government is going to further tighten this country's security intelligence laws in the aftermath, particularly of the November 13 terror attacks in Paris. And yesterday, the Prime Minister, John Key, he said that there were 40 New Zealanders currently on a special anti-terrorism target list, and at least 2 of the individuals are particularly of concern. They're under 24-hour surveillance by the Security Intelligence Service and the government's Communications Security Bureau, known here as the GCSB. Now, John Key, he said all of those 40 individuals on this watch list are on the, and I quote here, the periphery of Islamic State, end of quote. And he told New Zealand, Radio New Zealand, I should say, that 1 or 2 of them are, extremely threatening individuals. Now, immediately after the Paris terror attacks, John Key said that the SIS and the GCSB needed to perhaps have its laws beefed up, and the Minister for those 2 intelligence services, a guy called Chris Finlayson, indicated that the government had concern that new encryption technologies, those communication softwares, have made it possible for terrorists and criminals to communicate and plan strikes, if you like, within the dark web. What they were talking about was the encryption software like Tor and Tails, where you can communicate and the public can communicate via those in an encrypted type of environment. Now, at the moment, the New Zealand law, it enforces that all ISPs, internet service providers, provide keys to the government spooks so that they can decipher any communication platforms that have encryption in New Zealand. But it looks like the government here is going to go one step further and make it unlawful for the citizenry to use that type of technology themselves.
Hey, Selwyn, what's the reaction there been to the fact that there are a couple of these characters that are under 24-hour surveillance? That surprised me.
Yes, it's really there hasn't been a huge well of concerns. I think in New Zealand we have this perhaps a false sense of security that our isolation is our best defence. The government on the weekend said, contrary to that, New Zealand's best defence is good intelligence. And so you can see that it's ratcheting up, trying to get the public sentiment in line with what it intends to legislate, probably announcing in the early new year.
And Selwyn, on a much lighter note, aside from trying to keep an eye on any potential ISIS sympathisers, the Kiwis are busily trying to find Taylor Swift at the moment too.
Yeah, that's right. This is the biggest mystery in the country at the moment, consuming the headlines in the newspaper. One of the main newspapers in the country had Taylor Swift, where the bloody hell are you?
That's our slogan.
Yeah, that's our line.
It sounds like an ad. That ad used to be in New Zealand for us to go over to Australia. You know, where the bloody hell are you? That's the name of it. But the media and fans have been trying to hunt out poor old Taylor Swift. The American superstar was rumoured to be circulating around one of the West Coast ocean beaches just a few kilometres out from Auckland City. But the news... Some say it's the news of the century. It was confirmed by a local soap opera actor who bumped into Taylor Swift when he was exiting the toilet on a flight from Los Angeles to Auckland. The guy's name is Edo Dent, and he told Television New Zealand, and I quote here, "Yep, had a good chat with her on the plane outside the lavatory. She's definitely here," end of quote. So there you go, mystery solved.
Fantastic. Is she playing a show in New Zealand? Because she's going to be in Adelaide in 2 weeks' time doing two concerts here at the Entertainment Centre.
No show, but apparently she's filming a new music video in Auckland. That's another one of the rumours. She's apparently the best friend of Lord, New Zealand's singing sensation. And
they are good mates.
Yeah, and apparently Taylor Swift is going to be over in Sydney on Thursday before she heads down to you guys for her commitment. So, yeah. That's it.
Good stuff.
That's the stuff.
Fantastic. Selwyn Manning, the editor of the Evening Report Live News.co.nz. Always good to catch up with you, mate. Thanks.
That's going to be the most dubious eyewitness account ever, doesn't it? Former soap star
coming out of the lavatory.
Yeah, that's right.
The lavatory.
We had a conversation on the John on a plane. Seems, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Let's find out what's happening much closer to home. Incidents overnight with the South